Alongside Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth welcoming you back to America's Forum. Let's also welcome back in Sam Rohrer, the president of American Pastors Network. We continue our discussion of the recent controversy in Houston, Texas. Miranda, we talked about my old colleague Newt Gingrich earlier. Newt reacted in a recent blog saying, quote, "The mayor of Houston's recent subpoena of sermons by Christian pastors in the country's fourth largest city is a shocking violation of First Amendment rights to free speech and free exercise of religion. There's no clearer violation of First Amendment freedoms than for government officials to attempt to censor religious speech."
Oh, well, a lot of people agree with that. What's your reaction to what Newt Gingrich said?
Well, my response fully is that Newt was right on the money. And matter of fact, as far as I know, this is the only example where this has ever happened in the history of the country to this extent. And the closest thing that I can compare it to is, the days of Mao or Stalin or Hitler. These are not the actions of what constitutes religious freedom in America. Of course, I'm sitting here in Pennsylvania. That was birthed, the independent state was birthed on the matter of religious freedom. And so this kind of attack is not only historical, but it is extraordinarily dangerous. And it's amazing to me how many on the ideological left have even stood up to oppose this.
Well, speaking
but
of
this is the kind of thing that should make even the liberals of our country afraid, because if a government can step in and attempt to censor what is said by those on the right, do you not think that they'll stand and speak to oppose those on the left in time? I mean, we understand what's happening here.
Sam, speaking of standing up, let's talk about I Stand Sunday. That's coming up November 2nd. What are you asking Christians across the country to do?
Well, we're asking Christians and pastors in particular, and people to stand with their pastors, to understand that what is taking place in Houston is a wake-up call for America. And that even though Texas may be a long way off from New York State or New Jersey or Pennsylvania, they are, for whatever reason, they're then the first ones to fight this battle in a very clear way. This must be responded to in unanimity, in unity in speech, and an understanding that this is an attack against the freedom of religion, frankly, our constitutional rights across the board for every American. We stand together or we hang separately.
The line from Ben Franklin, the observation, another Pennsylvanian, and you're quite right, Sam Rohrer, about the history of Pennsylvania. Even though settled by William Penn and the Quaker movement, the Friends, there was great tolerance. We appreciate your time. Let's move along now to the midterm elections. A preview of the South Dakota Senate race prepared by our Newsmax election team. Let's take a look right now.
South Dakota is a red state when it comes to picking presidents and governors. That's not always the case when it comes to congressmen. But with Democratic Senator Tim Johnson retiring this year, Republicans saw a chance for a victory. The party needs to pick up 6 Senate seats to shift the balance of power their way. The GOP candidate, popular former South Dakota Governor Mike Rounds. Rounds went into the race favored to win, but he's run into trouble, namely former Republican Senator Larry Pressler. Pressler is running as an independent, which has made it hard for Rounds to rally the conservative vote wholly around him. Rounds did, however, recently pick up an endorsement from the Tea Party. Then there's the Democratic challenger, Rick Weiland. Weiland is no stranger to politics, but his campaign is a bit untraditional. Weiland recently produced a country music video and is often seen pulling out his guitar to serenade crowds at campaign rallies. Weiland is keeping the race incredibly close, trailing Rounds by only a couple of points in the polls. Pressler is running a close third, though a recent Survey USA poll puts Pressler ahead of Weiland. Pressler hasn't said which party he would caucus with should he pull out the win.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in South Dakota. For the latest, go to Newsmax.com as we continue our countdown to the midterms. And be sure to join us here 1 week from tonight, election night, for special live coverage of the midterms You Decide 2014. There is more straight ahead as America's Forum continues right here on Newsmax TV. Don't you go anywhere.